Look at their channel now, it's hard to imagine VideoGamer TV was a source of great videos for almost 4 years. While these days it has the look of just any other gaming channel, for a long time VideoGamer was a goldmine of gaming videos. It was a perfect blend of daft silly videos,
6 out of 10. Yeah.
biting satire and jabs at other publications.
Because, you know, it is a game.
I thought it'd be a lot more divisive than it was.
Yeah.
I was expecting very high and very low.
Yeah, I mean, not at certain outlets, because there are some with which the game appears that it was made for them. Like, it's like they took every element of that site and went, you know, this is like IGN, the game, you know.
It's the anti-alien isolation.
Yeah, pretty much.
And sometimes contrary, but always well-expressed opinion, all wrapped up in a bow of very British humour.
1994 will be forever remembered in Britain as a year of sweeping change. Sure, not half. Everything started in 1994 with the Channel Tunnel, Anton Deck's short-lived music career, this 10-year examination of an emerging culture of coffee-obsessed New York bellends, Britpop, 4 weddings, Loaded magazine, Coxie, 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 have it.
Now when I talk about the decline in quality, I refer only to the YouTube channel. The site is still a good source for gaming news, and they fixed the forums after a year and a bit of being off. But to see the channel in its current state saddens me, but for the people who didn't keep up with this channel over the years, will be perplexed as to why. And while I'm essentially complaining about entertainment I got for free, I never even donated to their Patreon. But my hope is that off the back of this video, anyone who was previously unaware will get to check out some of these gems for yourself. So I'm going to talk about how VideoGamer gained views, maintained them, and lost them. The VideoGamer TV YouTube channel has been around almost as long as the website, uploading their first video in January 2008. But their video remained in the low 100 views for almost 5 years, and by late 2012 their subscriber count was only around 800. This channel tried everything that the other channels did: reviews, trailers, what games were out this week. In late 2012 they hired Steve Burns from Imagine Publishing, but more crucially, former official Xbox magazine writer Matt Lees. By this stage, Matt was most well known for making a series of preview videos for Dragon's Dogma for OXM's channel, which kickstarted the game's hype and could be seen as being responsible for the game's success. With the YouTube channel floundering, Matt got a job as video production editor and took over the channel in January 2013.
They were looking for somebody to come in and basically do something with video. It was kind of a blank canvas. They had a YouTube channel with about 700, 800 subscribers. Nothing going on. They were really doing their best, but it just wasn't getting any traction. So I went in and they kind of just gave me the reins and let me do whatever I wanted, and I did. And I basically made a bunch of comedy stuff, mostly poking fun at the games industry. Did a few videos that went mega viral.
And go viral they did. Matt hit the ground running with his first video, an analysis of the launch trailer for Cyberpunk 2077, which got over 100,000 views, something the channel only managed twice before, and that was for an interview with Kane and an unboxing.
Hi.
Admittedly, a lot of these views could have been gained long term given how long Cyberpunk's development has been, and it was a happy coincidence that it was regarding a subject Matt knew a lot about. But it was a sign of prosperity to come. Within a matter of weeks, Matt managed to bump up the view count again with a series of Dota 2 videos called Dota 2 Academy, but it was his next project that put them in the spotlight.
It's those shapes on a screen that means a PlayStation.
After the unveiling of the PS4, Matt released a dub over the Sony conference featuring funny voices, daft jokes, and generally poking fun and pointing out how ludicrous a lot of these conferences are. Matt followed this up with a video for the Xbox One unveiling and subsequent videos for the E3 press conferences. To this day, these videos are the most popular on VideoGamer TV channel, raking in millions of views, and while these don't even come close to the best work these guys ever did, they are the perfect distillation of what this channel did well. They made you laugh while keeping you aware of all the bullshit that comes with the game industry. Matt satirized their failed attempts to relate to gamers.
What up, kid dogs? How's it chilling?
But also just the excessiveness of it all. These videos were the first that made me see VideoGamer TV, and I'd say it's the same for a lot of people. This combined with Matt's all other work got their subscriber count up to 80,000 that year.
Yes, that's good, that, because it sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Yeah.
These videos caught the attention of Charlie Brooker, who ended up commissioning Matt to co-write the script for his TV special, How Video Games Changed the World, which is well worth tracking down and watching, and a lot of the talking heads featured in the show would later appear on Matt's excellent podcast Daft Souls. Now, as with all times when multiple people flock to a channel at once expecting all videos to be like the one they just watched, this channel could have so easily peaked and died right there, and not all of those millions stayed, but myself and thousands of others happily stuck about to watch the other videos.
Hello and welcome to Animal Croissants. My name is Matt Lees and I'm the mayor of this town. Why don't you come on down to my town?
So just what were these other videos we stuck about to watch? Well, it wasn't just reviews and let's plays. With Matt being given near complete creative control, we got gems such as a 20-minute dissection of why BioShock Infinite isn't as good as you think, and on the flip side, a 20-minute dissection of why The Last of Us is even better than you think. All of the E3 2013 games reviewed in 3 minutes, a hilarious comparison of which next-gen console you should get, a video discussing the problem with KSI, which is probably more relevant today than it was 5 years ago, a list of the best 3DS games, a shopping channel, a video involving a dinner date with the PS4, the Xbox One experience, Remember Me Looks Like Balls, a brutally honest summary of the Ouya, series-based stuff like Dark Souls Pantsman, and keep in mind, it wasn't just Matt. Chris Pratt and Simon Miller also stepped up to make funny videos. And of course there was the podcast.
You'd like a flashlight because it's the wanking equivalent of Skylanders. You got all these different bits you can put on the thing.
Well, I did look them up. They're all different colours.
Box.
Yeah.
The VideoGamer UK podcast went out, and still goes out, every Wednesday. It typically featured 4 of the guys from the office discussing what they've been playing, news from the industry, and listener questions. Like the YouTube channel, the podcast underwent a massive change in 2013. The podcast used to be bogged down with jingles, sound effects, a theme that went on way too long, and the podcast itself went for over 2 hours and just seemed drawn out. After X amount of episodes, the podcast started again without the jingles, a shorter theme, and with episodes under an hour and a half generally, and all episodes uploaded to YouTube. Well, I could tell you that the change in hosts each week gave you a chance to get to know everyone and that they all played well off each other, but no, that is not why this podcast works, or at least the only reason that podcast works. A lot of the guys who worked at VideoGamer were for the most part closer to 30 than they were 20. You may not think that's old, and it's not, but how old are video games as a medium? This meant when they spoke about games, it sounded like it came from an authoritative position. When they spoke about console launches or old games, it was all from people who'd been there. And when they spoke about gaming, it was from the perspective of people who'd done stuff other than just play them. Matt had worked in PR for Activision, David Scammell had worked in game, Steve Burns had done QA at EA on games like Burnout Paradise, Simon Miller had done PR for THQ and worked at Sony. Tom Ari, one of the co-founders of the site, had been working at it since 2004. They had a great understanding of the industry and their fair share of stories, which were juxtaposed wonderfully with the younger members of the crew like Chris Pratt, Brett Phipps and later Alice Bell. All that in addition to just being funny guys. Before discovering this podcast, almost every gaming YouTube video I watched was some bloke in front of a bookshelf and they all seemed to relentlessly hoard games. VideoGamer prompted me to stop getting reviews from these chaps and to start looking towards the traditional media. If you want to get into the podcast, listen to the episode Anybody Remember the PlayStation and take it from there. It seemed like things for VideoGamer were on the up and up, and then Matt announced in late 2013 that he would be leaving VideoGamer. I remember at the time thinking this was the death of the YouTube channel. For anyone who wasn't watching the channel at the time, it must seem baffling that one man's exit could be the death of a channel. In the games industry, major personalities leave websites to go solo all the time, and these sites don't die. The way I would say to think of it is more like a great band that had its frontman leave, or a revival of a TV show without a key creative. This is the size of the impact Matt's departure was to have on the channel. Well, for me at least it was, and would have been for a lot of people. And he had only started in January 2013 and left in February 2014, but in that time was responsible for drawing in the audience. They'd gone viral with the abridged videos and should have faded then, but Matt kept a lot of people watching, and aside from maybe Chris or Simon, none of the others had appeared in quite as many videos as Matt. He was, for all intents and purposes, the face of the channel. This was where they should have died, except Matt needed a successor. Enter this guy.
Look, I'm no good at analysis or that, right? I thought Inception was about danger wanking.
Jim Trinca had been at this time the host of the Game Wank podcast and had made a few viral hits on YouTube with his character Tam McLeish. Game Wank is a hilarious podcast that's hard to recommend, not because it's not good, but because finding the episodes themselves is a nightmare. I personally had to download something called Podtastic just to listen to it, and even most of the episodes just don't seem to exist anymore. But before Jim took over from Matt, they made one video together where Matt regenerated into Jim. Now one could chalk this down to them both being big Doctor Who fans, but with hindsight I think it was showing Jim's appreciation for daft humour, and that VideoGamer TV would continue to produce funny videos. That didn't really occur to me at the time, and I didn't care much for the video Matt was making on his own, but I'm so glad now I didn't unsubscribe, because if so I would have missed so many great videos, from either channels. because I grew to love Matt's own videos. But crucially, by losing their star player only months after gaining their following, this could have been where they died, but no, this established that VideoGamer could be, and would continue to be, a stream of good content. Sure, a good person could leave, but there were still enough great personalities at the site to keep it interesting. So even if you kept changing the handles and brushes, it was still pretty much the same broom. Matt Nellis left, Simon Miller left, Chris Pratt left, Simon came back, Brett Phipps left, Alice Bell joined, but they all worked hard not to squander the goodwill Matt had built up, and to keep people like me tuning in several times a week and listening to the podcast religiously. This formula established it wasn't just the Matt Lees show. We came for Matt, but we stayed for VideoGamer.
Is this what you do? Cutting about kid knowing you're a spaceman? Let me tell you something, you're no a spaceman. You're an arsehole. You get yourself a proper fucking job.
I once asked Jim in an online AMA if he found it intimidating taking over from Matt. He said massively so, and it's certainly not a job I can comprehend. But the videos he made and the series he established were hilarious. More Tam and Gleesh videos, explaining video games to your old dad, everything you need to know about, which honestly they didn't make enough of, The Right to Reply, The Burns Unit, a 16-minute parody of Mastermind, Piss Morning, a gaming equivalent of The One Show, and the spin-off of Piss Morning, The Miller Report. While VideoGamer TV was how we all got to know Matt and his comedic genius, what Jim and the team did brilliantly was see the potential in all members of the staff and caricaturing them into fictionalized versions of themselves. David Scammell was a big child, Steve Burns was a smug British asshole. In a Vice article, they started with one of their comedic influences as Curb Your Enthusiasm, and you could really see it in the Miller Report. If Larry David's character in the show is as he describes it himself, without self-awareness, then the same applies to Simon Miller from the Miller Report, playing up his love of bodybuilding, Years of War,
Real game for real men about a real war with real guns.
and WWE.
Asks, with the Ratchet and Clank movie and now the Sly Cooper movie coming out, what video game movies would you like to see in the future?
Gears of War.
Would you actually?
Yeah, with wrestlers. That's all
You've just combined the two things you love in this world.
You are a parody of yourself.
Oh, I know.
And just like Curb, you don't have to know who the person is in real life or have seen their previous work to find the exaggeration funny. Honestly, there could be a whole video about the influences on these videos, but I'd rather the men themselves made that, which I doubt they will. At this point, it was cemented to me that I'd be watching VideoGamer TV for a long time, but then. In mid to late 2016, Jim and Burns announced that they would be leaving VideoGamer, and I was understandably brought down, but I wasn't too sad, because as Jim said on his final podcast,
I shall overcome.
But yeah, but the thing to remember about VideoGamer, I would say to people, is that it has lost really good talent, and really, I'm not saying I am, by the way, but really good talent,
association you are
really defining talent as well, like Bratters, Matt Lees, and every time it has survived, it's found new people, it has endured, and it's just adapted to become a new version of itself every time. So
if anything, I was actually excited to see what Jim and Burns did next, and also for the new personalities that were coming to VideoGamer. For some people this is where they stopped watching, and the videos took a hit, but they still consistently got a couple thousand views. Alice Bell, who'd been at the site nearly a year now, was a great addition, and then the new personalities they got on. First Samuel James Riley, who I honestly never got much of a sense of, and then as if they were vying solely for my love and affection, they hired a Cork man, Colin Ahern.
Stones may break my bones, but words have power also, because they have meaning, they have history. Words can rip a person in two because of what they represent and the hatred that they spread. Whatever your race, colour or creed, there's a derogatory, discriminatory term out there that someone can fling at you, reducing your character to a single abhorrent remark. Those who dish out such hate are a special breed of human being, more commonly referred to as cunts. But
Jim Trinca later said on Twitter he wished he'd gotten a chance to work with Colin, and I think they could have made great stuff together. So with their new personalities and old, VideoGamer was, as far as I'm concerned, still alive and kicking. But then. In December 2016, David Scammell, Tom Orry, and his twin brother James, and Sam Riley all announced their departure from VideoGamer. This meant the chief editor and the news editor and James, who did all the behind the scenes stuff, were gone, meaning within the space of a few months VideoGamer lost 6 people. And while Miller was still at the site, for all intents and purposes, he wasn't. Since October 2016, Miller had gone freelance and set up Simon Miller Limited, additionally making videos for his own channel, as well as videos for What Culture Gaming, What Culture Wrestling, and Trusted Reviews, meaning he never appeared on the podcast and rarely in group videos. And the videos he did make on his own began to feel phoned in. This meant the position of editor went to Alice Bell, someone who started working there in December 2015, only a year. I remember tweeting Alice begging her not to leave as well, but also trying to reassure some of the other fans. I remember in the forums and the Facebook groups and on Twitter there was disarray and people were wondering was there a secret behind the scenes conspiracy. I don't think there is a conspiracy. I think the reasons people left are for the reasons they all gave. There could very well be some reason as to why 6 people left within a year, including the founders, but VideoGamer have never made any statement to that effect and the guys probably didn't want to stay in the same place forever. But even so, despite my optimism, I was wondering what they'd have to say on the matter. The new year began and I eagerly awaited the return of VideoGamer. We got our first podcast of the year and it sounded like this.
Hello and welcome to the Video Gamer podcast. I am Alice Bell. It's our first podcast of the new year and I'm joined by Simon Miller.
Hello world.
And by Colin Mahern.
Hello, happy new year!
It is.
Now granted this was a rare exception, and the audio quality returned to normal a week later, but it wasn't the quality, it was the content. Throughout the podcast, not one mention of Sam leaving or how things were going to change. I thought that their attitude was probably just to carry on as if nothing had happened, but we needed something. We needed a reason to keep watching because this wasn't the same VideoGamer TV. The brushes and handles had been replaced too many times. Colin Mahern has since addressed this time, saying that with essentially only 2 people running the site, certain features had to be sacrificed. But around this time I still remember in the comments egging people on to stick about, that there was still a chance for VideoGamer. But the weeks continued and the content remained the same. No new personalities were hired, the forums on the websites were out of service, and then VideoGamer released a video announcing being bought by the Rosero network and moving to their offices. This really felt like out with the old. The office had featured in so many videos that it was sad to see it go. I'd hoped the new purchase might mean new employees and a return to adapt videos, but no. All it meant from what I could see was different talking heads in the podcast who didn't even work for VideoGamer. They worked for the site's PlayStation trophies and Xbox achievements that were owned by the Rosero network. And even though these lads such as Rich Walker and Dan Webb make for podcast hosts, the tone of the podcast was totally different and they had the same disconnect problem that they'd had with Miller. But for a year I stayed listening to the podcast, watching reviews and trying to be positive to people in the comments saying that there was still a chance. And then after a year and a bit, I just gave up. The point I was trying to make with this video was that the death of this channel could have happened on so many occasions, but they nailed down a formula of how to keep people watching. Matt Lees took VideoGamer TV and built up the following, and the team worked hard to keep that following and to turn VideoGamer TV into a brand I loved and constantly recommended to people because of its wonderful personalities and their great sense of humour. And I don't want to say that Alice and Colin didn't work hard, because obviously they did, considering how much stuff was brought out from a channel essentially being ran by 2 people. These days I look at the channel, I'm not feeling like I'll see a video trying to start a campaign to find out who gave Star Trek a 10, or a weather forecast for a game update, or a game scored Rambo out of 10. The sort of videos you didn't need to be a fan of video games to find funny, the sort of videos that could draw in mass appeal. All I see is a channel doing the same stuff you see every gaming channel do, reviews, let's plays, live streams, top lists. And it's not as if old VideoGamer didn't do that. This wasn't a comedy channel, but that was what made it brilliant. It did what all the other gaming sites did, but executed it in such a humorous style. Sure, they didn't have as elaborate a set as IGN or the production values of GameSpot, but they more than made up for it with genuinely good comedy. In late May 2018, it was announced Alice would be departing and Colin would be taking over as editor, meaning the one last link to the old team is now gone. A bit like the Sugar Babes. But things with Colin are off to a good start. The forums are back up and running, where he's been speaking to the community, and he's done some World Cup videos, which has done quite well, and he had a guest appearance from Jim for one podcast, which was a nice treat. But speaking of, what happened to all those great personalities VideoGamer had over the years? Jim Trinca and Steve Burns set up their own company called Special Gun Productions with their friend David Mills. With this they've done incredible ad campaigns for Capcom and made documentaries. Though I miss seeing them in front of the camera than from behind, they've also made videos for the BBC iPlayer, which I can't watch because they don't work in Ireland. They also have a YouTube channel with a podcast, and while it's rarely updated, it's always a treat when it is. Well worth subbing to. Chris Bratt went to Eurogamer after he left VideoGamer and has done excellent work, including a series of videos entitled Here's a Thing, which he eventually left Eurogamer to make similar videos full-time on his channel People Make Games. Well worth subscribing to, and I'll have a link to his Patreon down below. Matt is somehow after 5 years of making gaming videos in a creative renaissance, having started a new series called Ghoul Ghosts, which is unlike any video game series you've ever seen. There are 2 episodes into season 1, catch up, and Matt has a whole library of great videos and a fantastic podcast featuring some of the old VideoGamer crew on occasion. Simon Miller is still doing videos for What Culture, as well as becoming a wrestler and having his own channel. Simon's channel suffers from inconsistency in content, but he's worth subscribing to for his sheer dedication to positivity. One of the best things on his channel is Miller's Musics, a series which has nothing to do with video games, but just consists of Simon talking about how to be more positive and how to deal with things like anxiety and depression. David Scammell is now working as a games industry consultant, whatever that means, and to my knowledge is no longer making video content or podcasts, which is a pity. Alice Bell has started work at Rock Paper Shotgun, and I wish her well. In conclusion, if the Gamer from Mars' Dead Channel series was actually about dead channels and not just clickbait, he'd have made a video about VideoGamer TV by now, and I hate to say that, not because Gamer from Mars is a god-awful YouTuber, but because, as evidenced by this vid, I really loved VideoGamer TV. I listen to the podcast now and again, which has actually got the jingles back, and that combined with the channel now struggling to get 1,000 views on anything other than a review, and the fact that it's doing all the stuff other channels are doing, it really feels like VideoGamer has taken a massive step back to where they were before Matt took over. Except now they're playing to an audience of 160,000 subs, which they're slowly but surely losing. I still have a lot of love for Colin, and my dream is that I'll be back in a few months to make a The Return of VideoGamer TV video, but for now at least I have to concede with what all the other people I tried to shut up said. VideoGamer is dead.